The sandstorm had just passed over the ruins of Valar Prime when Captain Elias Ward stepped out of the shuttle. The alien sun burned faintly red above the horizon, lighting up the broken towers that had once belonged to a long-dead civilization. Around him stood a group of alien scientists, each of them nervous and careful, their strange silver eyes darting toward the entrance of the underground temple. For years, many species had searched this world. The ruins were older than any empire, older than recorded history itself. Deep below the surface was something they all feared but could not leave alone: the Relic. It was said to be a weapon from the ancient times, built by a race that ruled the stars before vanishing forever. Every attempt to touch it had ended in death. Elias adjusted the strap of his gear and glanced at the alien leader, a tall, thin being named Serkal. "Why bring me here if it's forbidden?" Elias asked in calm, plain tone. Serkal's voice buzzed like electricity. "Because it sings when you approach. No other species causes this reaction. The Relic recognizes you." The words made Elias pause. He looked down the dark path leading into the temple, where faint blue light shimmered against the walls. He felt something strange inside him, a pull deep and silent like a whisper calling from beyond time. They descended the stairs slowly. The air grew colder. Strange patterns glowed faintly on the stone walls, carved in shapes no one could translate. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. The deeper they went, the louder the humming became. It was as if the temple itself was breathing. At last, they reached the chamber. In the center stood the Relic, a smooth, circular object half buried in the ground. Its surface looked like metal but also alive, with lights running beneath it like veins. No visible buttons, no seams, no marks of age. It simply waited. The alien researchers began scanning it from a distance. Holographic devices hovered in the air, displaying streams of unreadable symbols. But every few seconds the machines shorted out, sparks flying. One of the aliens shouted that the energy levels were unstable. Serkal stepped back. "We should leave. This place does not want us here." Elias stayed still, staring at the Relic. He could feel something vibrating beneath his boots, like the ground itself was responding to his presence. A faint sound entered his mind, not through his ears but deeper, through his thoughts. A wordless voice, gentle yet commanding. He took a slow breath. "What is this thing trying to tell me?" he whispered. Suddenly the lights flickered. A low rumble shook the walls. The alien screamed as cracks spread across the floor. Tools flew from tables and the energy reading spiked. The Relic began to glow brighter, its blue veins pulsing faster like a living heart. Serkal shouted, "Step back, human! It's waking!" But Elias did not move. His instincts told him not to run. The voice in his head grew stronger, clearer now, speaking in a language he somehow understood. "Come closer." Ignoring the panicked cries behind him, Elias walked forward. The air around him buzzed, pressing against his skin like static. His hair stood on end. He could feel warmth coming from the Relic as if it recognized his presence. He reached out his hand, trembling only slightly. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the entire room exploded with light. Blue and gold streams burst outward, filling the chamber with blinding energy. The alien team fell to the ground, covering their eyes. The walls shook but did not crumble. Instead, the carvings on them lit up, shifting and changing form. Symbols turned into shapes that Elias knew. Earth, the moon, humans. The Relic's voice echoed out loud this time, powerful and metallic, reverberating through every stone. "Identity confirmed, human access granted." Elias froze. His hand was still pressed against the surface. He could feel warmth spreading up his arm, not painful but powerful, like the energy of 1,000 suns flowing into him. The alien stared in disbelief. Serkal stammered, "Impossible. No one has ever—" "It spoke!" The Relic lifted slightly off the ground, spinning slowly, releasing small fragments of glowing dust that floated like fireflies. It projected beams of light that formed shapes in the air, human figures standing tall among stars, ships moving through galaxies, and worlds bearing human cities. Elias whispered under his breath, "What are you showing me?" The Relic answered softly, almost like it knew him. "The past. Your kind built us." Elias's heart pounded. The Relic. It was not alien. It was human. Or something built by ancient humans who existed long before history remembered. One of the alien scientists tried to pull him away, But the moment they touched him, the energy flared, pushing them back with a shockwave. The relic was protecting him. It pulsed again, and the entire room filled with a deep vibration that reached far beyond the temple. Miles above the surface, orbiting ships detected strange energy waves spreading through space, powerful enough to be seen across systems. Unknown devices buried on nearby moons suddenly came alive, lighting up in patterns matching the relic's glow. Elias stepped back slowly as the light faded. His hand shook, but the relic's warmth stayed with him. The voice spoke once more, quieter this time. "The Makers have returned." The words echoed in his mind. The aliens looked at him with wide, fearful eyes. None of them knew what it meant. But Elias did. Somehow, deep inside, he felt the truth. Humanity's story in the galaxy was not beginning. It was returning. As they left the chamber, the relic remained awake, glowing faintly in the darkness, waiting for the next command. And somewhere far away across the stars, other ancient machines began to stir. The world above Velar Prime was restless. Fleets hovered in orbit, watching the growing storm of energy spreading from the temple below. Beacons across the planet flickered on and off. Ancient towers that had stood silent for millennia now glowed faintly, as if remembering something old. Inside the underground chamber, Captain Elias Ward stood before the relic, its light still pulsing with rhythm. The alien scientists had retreated to the far end of the hall, afraid to move closer. Their instruments sparked and died again and again. Nothing worked now, not scanners, not shields, not even their translators. The only sound left was the hum of the relic, and the quiet beating of Elias's heart. Serkal's voice trembled as he spoke. "Human, whatever you did, stop it. It could destroy this world." Elias did not answer. His eyes stayed fixed on the relic. The surface of the object shifted slowly, like a living organism reshaping itself. Strange panels unfolded, revealing deep patterns of light inside. It looked less like a weapon and more like a living being that had been asleep too long. Then the voice came again. It was no longer faint or distant. It filled the entire chamber. Human confirmed. "Authorization level, prime origin," the aliens gasped. None of them had heard such words before. The relic's inner core began to rise, spinning gently. A wave of blue light swept across the room. For a moment, Elias felt weightless. Images flashed before his eyes. Endless stars. Planets burning. Armies of humans in silver armor standing before worlds that bowed to them. And then darkness. A great silence that lasted ages. When the vision ended, Elias found himself on his knees, breathing hard. What are you showing me?" he whispered. The voice responded, softer now. "The memory of creation. The Makers ruled the stars. You are their echo." Serkal stepped closer, his claws trembling. "Makers? That is an old myth," he said. "No one believes it. The first empire, the builders of the galaxy, they vanished before any of our species existed." Elias looked up, eyes glowing faintly blue under the light. "Maybe they didn't vanish," he said quietly. "Maybe they became us." The alien team exchanged fearful glances. To them, humans were young, wild, and unpredictable. But the relic, the oldest machine in history, now obeyed one of them. Suddenly, a deafening sound filled the temple. The relic released a pulse that shot upward through the ceiling and into the sky. A pillar of light stretching beyond the atmosphere. Orbiting ships picked it up instantly. Alarms blared in alien command centers across the system. "This is a signal," Serkal muttered. "It's calling something." Outside, thunder rolled across the alien desert, though there were no clouds. The light from the relic grew brighter, spreading into the cracks of the temple walls. Symbols formed again, changing with every pulse. This time the words were clear, written in Galactic Common and Earth English at once. "Awakening sequence. Initiated." Elias took a step back as the entire temple began to move. The floor sank downward like a platform, lowering them deeper into the planet. The walls shifted, revealing machinery hidden beneath ancient stone. The place was not just a temple, it was part of the relic itself. When they stopped, they were in a massive underground hall stretching farther than the eye could see. Rows of machines stood in silence, all shaped like the first relic, and now one by one they began to glow. Serkal fell to his knees. "There are hundreds, maybe thousands." The relic above Elias spoke again. "The network has heard the call. The Maker's code is active once more. Elias turned slowly toward the aliens. You said no one ever survived touching this thing. What happened to them? Sir Kal hesitated. They were erased. Their bodies turned to ash. The Relic rejected all of them. But you? He looked at Elias with wide, fearful eyes. You had accepted. Elias felt the strange pull in his chest again, stronger than before. Maybe it isn't about who I am, he said. Maybe it's about what I carry. Then the Relic projected an image in front of him, a star map. It showed thousands of systems, each marked by a faint blue light. One by one, those lights flickered awake. Every relic across the galaxy was responding to him. They are listening, the voice said. The bloodline of the Makers has spoken. Humanity endures. The alien crew started shouting. Some wanted to flee. Others wanted to record what they were witnessing. But before anyone could act, the planet itself began to shake. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The Relic's light turned golden, and for a brief second, Elias saw something impossible. A face forming inside the light. A human face, it spoke only one word. Return. The entire chamber erupted in a final burst of energy. The next moment, they were standing outside the temple again, surrounded by dust and silence. The ruins had collapsed behind them. Only a faint glow from beneath the sand marked where the Relic had been. The aliens checked their devices. Everything was dead. No signal, no readings, only the memory of what had happened. Elias stared at the distant horizon. The faint light from the buried Relic still shone, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. He knew this was only the beginning. Whatever message the artifact had sent, it had reached the stars. High above, far across the galaxy, other relics began to stir. Old machines forgotten by time opened their eyes for the first time in ages. And everywhere, alien worlds received the same transmission. The Makers have returned. Elias looked up at the sky. The red sun glowed dimly, but he could already see new lights flickering among the stars. He did not know what was coming next, but he felt it deep in his bones. Something ancient had awakened. And it had chosen humanity. News traveled faster than light. Within a single rotation of Velar Prime, the entire galaxy knew what had happened. Broadcasts from alien empires, encrypted military reports, and frightened whispers spread across space stations and trade hubs. The human has awakened the Maker's relics. For many, it was an impossible story. Humans were seen as young, emotional, and reckless, explorers with more courage than wisdom. Yet now the oldest machines in existence had bowed to one of them. Across the galaxy, leaders gathered in panic. The Valeth Dominion, rulers of 20 systems, declared an emergency council. The Cryon Collective sealed their borders. Even the Empire of Null, known for their arrogance, sent fleets to investigate. Everywhere, the same question echoed through command halls and diplomatic chambers. Why would the relics obey a human? Meanwhile, on Velar Prime, Elias Ward and the few surviving aliens from the temple incident were taken into custody by the Galactic Conquered. The soldiers who arrived wore dark armor, their visors glowing red. They treated the scene like a war zone, surrounding Elias with weapons raised. "Do not move, human," one of them ordered. "You are under containment by order of the Galactic Council." Elias lifted his hands slowly. His eyes were calm, but his heartbeat was not. He could still feel the faint hum beneath his skin, the connection to the relic that had touched him. Even now in silence, it whispered faintly in his mind, "They fear you." He was taken aboard a massive battleship called the Warden's Eye. Through the viewing windows, Elias could see Velar Prime glowing faintly below, like a wound in space. Scientists aboard the ship ran scans on him, but their equipment malfunctioned again and again. The head scientist, a stern Null named Vrixa, glared at her broken scanner. "Your body rejects every reading. No machine recognizes you. It is as if your biology has changed." Elias met her eyes. "Maybe it's not me that changed," he said softly. "Maybe it's your machines that are remembering." She frowned, not understanding. But deep down, something about his words unsettled her. Far from the ship, in the council chambers of the galaxy's capital, hundreds of alien delegates gathered. Giant screens floated above the room, showing the ruins of Velar Prime and energy readings off the charts. "The Relic network has reactivated after 12,000 years, said one scientist. "All across the sector, dormant structures are awakening. We detect signals from over 200 worlds." A roar of panic filled the hall. One warlord shouted, "We must destroy the human before the machines fully awaken." Another delegate slammed his claws on the table. "You cannot kill what the makers themselves chose. Do you want to repeat their mistake?" The hall erupted in chaos. Fear had united them more than reason ever could. The galaxy's greatest powers, once enemies, now shared a single dread: the return of the species that once ruled everything. Back aboard the Warden's Eye, Elias sat in a containment cell. The lights flickered every few minutes. The guards whispered outside, pretending not to stare at him. Some looked afraid. Others looked curious. He leaned against the cold wall and whispered, "What are you trying to show me?" A faint shimmer appeared before him, the relic's light. Even across the void of space, its projection reached him. The air vibrated softly and a voice filled the cell. "They do not remember who you were. They only remember their fear." Elias stood up. The light formed into a shape, a map again, but larger, clearer. This time he could see the origin point of the signals, the heart system. A place lost to myth, believed to be the home of the makers. "Am I supposed to go there?" he asked. The voice responded, "You are the key. Without you, the chain will break again. The heart must open." Before he could speak again, alarm screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed across the corridors. A soldier's voice shouted over the comms, "Multiple contacts!" Dozens of ships incoming. The view outside the window turned crimson. Alien fleets, warships from the Val-Eth Dominion, emerged from hyperspace. Their cannons charged, aiming directly at the Warden's Eye. The crew panicked. The captain yelled for shields, but the systems refused to respond. "It's not working," shouted a technician. "Something's jamming our defenses." Elias felt it instantly. The hum in his body grew louder. The relic's voice spoke again, this time through the ship's speakers. "Protect the source." The ship trembled as the relic's energy surged through Elias. Blue light burst from his body, spreading through the corridors. The power systems came alive, brighter than ever before. "Sir," a crewman screamed. "The human, he's controlling the ship." Elias didn't understand how, but the ship responded to his thoughts. The cannons turned automatically, locking onto the enemy fleet. He whispered one word, "Stop," and they did. The Valeth ships froze in space, every weapon deactivated. The silence that followed was terrifying. On the bridge, the captain stared at Elias through the viewing screen. "What are you?" he breathed. Elias looked back at the endless field of stars. His voice was calm, quiet, almost human again. "I don't know," he said. But maybe the galaxy forgot what humanity really was. Then the relic's voice spoke once more, through every ship in the system. "The makers return not for conquest, but for balance. Those who remember shall survive." Every alien in that sector felt it. Fear spread faster than war. Fleets withdrew. Empires began sealing their worlds. Elias stood in silence as the blue light faded around him. For the first time, he felt the true weight of what had been awakened. The galaxy no longer saw him as a man, but as a warning. And far beyond, across uncharted space, something vast and ancient stirred in response. A colossal machine orbiting a dead sun. It opened one eye of golden light and whispered a name that had been forgotten for ages: humanity. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in 10,000 years, every empire, every world, every ship in known space turned its gaze toward one man, the human who awakened the Maker's relics. Elias Ward stood at the viewing deck of the Warden's Eye. The stars looked the same, yet he could feel they were not. Every constellation, every flicker of distant light seemed to watch him, waiting for his next move. The relic's presence pulsed faintly through him like a heartbeat, a living memory inside his bones. The crew kept their distance. Soldiers whispered prayers. Scientists avoided eye contact. None of them understood what he had become. Some called him a prophet. Others called him a weapon. But Elias did not feel powerful. He felt haunted. He remembered the images the relic had shown him. Shining human cities among the stars, fleets stretching beyond sight, voices chanting the same phrase, "We built the sky." Those humans had been different, not the scattered explorers of Earth's colonies, but beings who had mastered energy, creation, and time itself. They had touched godhood and paid for it with silence. Now the relics had awakened again, and they had chosen him. The voice spoke softly in his mind. "The heart calls. You must finish what began long ago." The heart? he murmured. You mean the place where humanity first fell? The place where it hid, the voice answered. Coordinates appeared in his vision, floating in blue light, a system far beyond mapped space, buried in the void. Elias knew instantly that it was calling him home. He turned to the captain of the Warden's Eye. Prepare a course to these coordinates, he said. The alien captain, still trembling from the events of Velar Prime, hesitated. That region is forbidden. No ships return from there. Maybe they never had the key, Elias replied. The ship jumped. The journey lasted 3 days in silence. Each night Elias dreamed of the same thing, an enormous gate made of silver and light orbiting a dead star. He could feel it waiting. When they arrived, the dream became real. Before them stood the heart of the Makers, a colossal structure larger than planets, surrounded by drifting ruins of ships frozen in time. It pulsed slowly, a giant ring of dark metal with golden veins running across its surface. Elias approached the viewing window, his voice almost a whisper. It's not a gate, it's alive. The relic's hum inside him grew louder. Every ship system shut down as if bowing to something greater. Then a faint energy wave reached out, scanning the Warden's Eye. Origin confirmed, the voice echoed. Welcome home. The heart began to move. Panels unfolded like wings. A massive beam of golden light connected with the ship, surrounding it completely. Elias felt the pull again. The same warmth from Velar Prime, stronger this time, almost like a memory calling him by name. His vision blurred, and suddenly he was no longer on the ship. He stood in a vast hall made of starlight. Statues lined the walls, not gods but humans. Tall, calm, and ancient. Their eyes glowed faintly as if alive. Who are you? Elias whispered. From the end of the hall, a figure stepped forward. It looked human but radiated light from every pore. We are what remains, the being said.
The echoes of your kind's first empire?
We built the relics to protect creation from itself, but we failed. The others turned our gifts into weapons. You mean the other species? Elias asked. The being shook its head. No, the other humans. Elias froze. The words struck deep. So we destroyed ourselves. Not destroyed, the being said softly. Forgotten. You were sent to begin again, smaller, weaker, unaware of what came before. The cycle had to reset. Elias stepped closer. Then why now? Why me? The being smiled faintly. Because the galaxy forgot fear, and without fear of its makers it falls again to chaos. The hall trembled. Images filled the air. Fleets of alien warships preparing for battle. Empires arming against the unknown. Panic had already spread across the stars. The heart is awakening, said the voice. If you open it fully, the relics will unite. You will rebuild the legacy. But the cost will be everything that exists now. Elias stood still, hearing the faint echoes of billions of lives out there, innocent worlds. Alien or human, none of them ready for extinction. He closed his eyes. No, he said quietly. We don't rule anymore. We learn. The figure's light dimmed slightly. Then you reject your birthright? I reject the mistakes they made. The light shifted. For the first time, the ancient being looked uncertain. Then slowly it nodded. So humanity has changed after all. A sudden warmth spread through Elias's chest. The relic's voice returned, softer than ever. Balance restored. The golden light surrounding the heart faded. The colossal structure dimmed to silence once more. Across the galaxy, the other relics followed, their lights flickering out like calm stars going to sleep. Elias found himself back on the ship, breath heavy, hands shaking. The captain stared at him. What happened? Elias looked out at the vast emptiness of space. We were given a second chance, he said. And this time we won't waste it. The relic's glow in his hand faded for the last time, leaving only a faint warmth. The hum inside him went silent. But deep beneath that silence, in a language older than stars, a message remained. One that every awakened relic whispered to itself before returning to sleep. The makers endure through memory. Humanity will rise when it must. Elias turned toward the stars, his eyes calm, human once more, and smiled faintly. The galaxy might never know what truly happened that day, but somewhere in its endless dark, a spark of what humanity once was had been reborn, and this time, it chose mercy over power.